So whether you came across this video just on your For You page, suggested for you, whatever, or you found my shorts on YouTube, I appreciate you being here. So this is going to be the first of, I believe, many installments of the series. I can't say it's going to be unlimited, but I feel it's important to share different stories. Like, I learned something when I listened to somebody else's story, right? How they grew up, how they overcame something, how they survived. And I know there's others out there that are just like me and would like to connect to other people who are also neurodivergent. I have only known that I am neurodivergent for probably the last 5 years of my life. I'm 48 years old. I'm about to be 49 in October. So really, for the first 43 odd years, I had no idea that I'm neurodivergent. I don't think my parents understood that. And even if they did, I'm not sure they would have done anything about it, to be honest. And I grew up in the 80s, so that will probably help. And they were really typically looking at boys, not girls, for ADHD or ADD. For whatever reason, they really didn't look at girls a lot for most of these disorders, and for autism. So I feel there's probably a lot of girls out there that are autistic and ADHD and are good at masking, like I am. And I feel like they are not entirely rare, but not entirely common, if that makes any sense. Anyway, so I want to talk about 9th grade yearbooks, right? So when I was in 9th grade, I was pretty naive. I was pretty naive for a good portion of my life, but especially in high school, I was pretty naive. I didn't really understand the world very much. I struggled with depression and anxiety back then, but I didn't really understand that until I got much older. And it really put a monkey wrench in my life to be neurodivergent, but not to understand that I was actually neurodivergent. I just knew I was different. I didn't understand why I was different. I didn't know why I was different, but I knew I was, right? There would be people who understood things that I never understood, like social interactions. There's social cues that I still don't pick up. I've learned some over the years. You learn to cope and you try to remember when this happens, that probably means this, but it doesn't always. And that's always a kicker, because when you're like, okay, I like rules. You give me a set of rules, and as long as I don't believe that they're stupid rules, I will follow them. That's just who I am, right? I like structure, and where I don't always follow structure, my mind likes it. When you're signing everyone's yearbook, right? And people put their phone numbers in there, like, call me. Over the summer, call me. I didn't realize at the time, when people are putting their phone numbers in your yearbook, that they truly don't want you to call them. And my brain is like, why? Why would you do that? Like, I would never give my phone number to someone I didn't want to call me. That seems illogical.
Highly illogical.
It doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? But turns out people do that. In fact, a good amount of people who put their phone numbers in my 9th grade yearbook didn't mean it. It's like they just put their phone numbers in everyone's yearbook. I don't know. Is it to cover up the people who they wanted them to call? Were they just too shy to just put their phone numbers in the yearbooks of people they actually liked? I quickly found out, like, the first time I called somebody, that summer I did call somebody, because I was like, oh my God, look at all these phone numbers. Look at these phone numbers. People like me. They want me to call them. I love that. And to the people who I actually genuinely liked that put their phone number in my yearbook, I put my phone number in their yearbook. But I got no calls, not one. But I did make some calls. So the first person was a girl. And of course, I'm not gonna say names because that doesn't matter. It's not about them, it's about me. And I was confused. I had called and said, oh, their parents had answered. I said, oh, is so-and-so there? Can I talk to her? And they're like, well, who are you? And so I explained that I'm a schoolmate, and she left her phone number in my yearbook, and I wanted to, call her and see how she's doing. And then they'd be like, oh, well, she's not available. Okay, sure. Call back another time. So I called back another time. She was also not available. Call back another time. And then I got the unfortunate scenario of was told not to call back again. That she doesn't actually want to talk to you, so don't, they said it nicer than that, but that's the gist of it. Don't call back. So I crossed her phone number off in my yearbook. That way I remember that that person was just ingenuous, although I did not know that word back then, but I do now. So I, that was a blow to the ego, right? And it was confusing. Why would you put your phone number in my yearbook if you didn't want me to call you? So I thought, oh, maybe it was a fluke. A week went by, still summer vacation. And I largely have no friends. I have some friends, but not many. And I get lonely. I grew up as an only child. I was very isolated growing up. The next time I called somebody, that person was just that person I got to talk to because they happened to answer the phone. But it seemed like they had to go really fast. They're like, oh, sorry, I gotta go. I'll talk to you some other time. I'll call you back. That never happened. So I decided to take it upon myself to cross that phone number off. But the moral of the story is there are rules for normal society. It's odd. It's the way neurotypical society works. Often doesn't make any sense to me. It's often hypocritical, antithetical. It's just odd. It doesn't make any sense. But that's the world we live in. And so I've learned that just because someone says something doesn't mean they actually mean it, which is incredibly frustrating. And I wish people would be more truthful, because I think this world would be a better place if people were more truthful about how they feel about things. If I remember many times in a workplace where I've tried to make friends, people go out to lunch. I've worked in office environments and people go out to lunch, and I have talked to people at work and I'm like, we should go out to lunch someday. And they're like, yeah, that sounds great. And then, time goes by and, they don't say anything to me. I figure since I'm the one that suggested it, they can, it's their turn to let me know when they would like to do that, right? But apparently that's not the way anything works. And so then I decided, okay, maybe I'm just going about this wrong. So I am going to invite them. Say, hey, do you want to go out to lunch, today or sometime this week or maybe next week? And some people would, but most wouldn't. And then I stopped asking because it just felt, it was defeating. It was defeating every time I'd see them go out to lunch with other people, not me. And to be honest, it was heartbreaking. Because then I would have these feelings like, what's wrong with me? Why do people just not like me? And I've felt this since I was young.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments down below what you thought. Thank you so much.